Greetings, fellow snowflakes. I want to talk about the Star Wars films and how I actually like the new films. The original trilogy is, of course, amazing. Um, at least, I mean, it's a good old-fashioned good versus evil story, and it's a good old-fashioned adventure. It does actually follow quite a lot of mythic. Does follow quite a mythic traditional storytelling structure. You have the hero, the call to adventure, the refusal of the call to adventure. You have, I think it was Joseph Campbell who came up with the hero's journey, the very typical structure of storytelling, and particularly in mythology and but traditional storytelling structure. And it does follow this quite closely, actually. The loss of the mentor, with Ben Kenobi getting killed, and all of that. So, yeah, but yeah, these are great stories, and a lot of people, they like Han Solo and Chewie and all that, and I do too, but a lot of people identify very strongly with Luke Skywalker as well, and his more spiritual journey. Yeah, and the Force, and good side versus dark side, and finding out that Darth Vader's his father, so you've got that whole, thing, the redemption arc of Darth Vader, and these are great stories. Empire Strikes Back is definitely the best one, because it's the darkest one, with interesting settings like Hoth and Bespin, and the bounty hunters I always thought were cool as a kid, especially like Bosk, the really, obviously Boba Fett. Part of his appeal is the enigma, the mystery of who is Boba Fett. But you got Bosk and 1G88 and Zuckuss, and actually it was 4 long. It was in the figures was called Zuckuss, but the black kind of fly-headed one. But yeah, they're really fascinating, the bounty hunters. I always like things like that. The Jabba the Hutt's palace thing with all those weird creatures there, I always like that as well. And of course the Mos Eisley bar in the first film. Yeah, I mean, Empire Strikes Back's the best one, but A New Hope is also very good. And Return of the Jedi is good. I mean, mostly it's good because of Jabba's palace at the beginning, and the stuff between the Emperor and Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker at the end. And there are some elements which, obviously, like the Ewoks, which appeal more to kids, but actually, and the bits of comedy here and there, which bother some people. But actually, no, the whole original trilogy, I think a lot of those films, they're really good. The prequels were rubbish, though. The prequels are shit. Mostly because, I mean, there are some good moments in them. Darth Maul's pretty cool. The whole battle sequence at the end of Attack of the Clones I find really good, including the comedy elements of C-3PO getting the battle droid's head and battle droid getting C-3PO's head. I do like those things. They are, that whole battle sequence at the end is good. However, a lot of the Attack of the Clones is very boring. And Revenge of the Sith, yes, it has a darker tone and stuff, and of course we see Anakin go fully to the dark side and become Darth Vader at the end. And there are gripping, thrilling moments in those films. However, generally speaking, the acting brings it down, and just there's too much of talky boringness going on, which lets it down. Now, then we come to the new films, and they have experienced a lot of. They have attracted a lot of hatred and dislike from a certain portion of the fandom, with the usual thing that people like to complain about these times. Isn't it funny how Gamergate started because people didn't like feminists talking about sexist elements in video games, and it was always don't censor our art and stuff, and this whole anti-feminist, anti-SJW movement now seems to involve people complaining about the media they enjoy having prominent female characters, prominent characters of colour, and messages that might be perceived as political correctness or social justice or something. And all they do now is bitch and complain about these media and these art forms. Hypocritical, if you ask me. But anyway, I like the new films for a number of reasons. But I think the main one, I do like the spin-off ones. I don't know what you call them. Rogue One and Solo. I watched Solo recently. I was a little underwhelmed, but it definitely has its good moments, and it's always a joy to see Emilia Clarke. Um, but I really liked Rogue One. I mean, there is a bit of uncanny valley in the whole Moff Tarkin thing, and definitely with Princess Leia, massive uncanny valley going on there, with those CGI recreations of those people. But you know, the whole story as a whole, and some of the characters, the robot character, the guy that's sensitive with the Force, that character, a couple of characters there I like, and the whole doomed kind of, you know, they're all going to die sort of thing, but at least they get the message out there so that the plot of A New Hope can happen. So that the Death Star plans can get in the hands of the rebels. This heroic kind of sacrifice, self-sacrifice kind of thing. It's really good. It's really good. Amazing bit with Darth Vader and going crazy, like force, using the Force to put people on the ceiling and slashing away with lightsaber and all that, and that is amazing. I think but yeah, I like those ones. But with regards to the sequel trilogy of the Star Wars franchise, which of which there's only two so far, I like them, and the main reason I like them is because they take this black and white good versus evil world, and they start to subvert it into this middle grey area a bit. Not enough to take away from the storytelling element. It still is sort of good guys versus bad guys, sort of, but they're starting to move past that binary way of looking at it to a more, let's face it, a more realistic way of looking at it. And the reason I like things like Game of Thrones so much, and to some extent Doctor Who, although that's quite straightforward, but it's not so straightforward, is it? Doctor Who does it with compassion, Game of Thrones does it with gritty nastiness, but both of them are, is they acknowledge in a very adult, realistic way that there's lots of middle ground, lots of grey area, and they're always toying with that grey area. I kind of like that Star Wars, given that so much of it is about, you know, like with the Force and Jedi's and stuff, about kind of spiritual enlightenment. It's sort of a Buddhist, Taoist kind of thing, this Force thing. I like that it's starting to subvert that very Tolkien-esque kind of good versus evil thing, which, you know, it works. It works in the original trilogy. It works in Lord of the Rings. You know, this is classic storytelling, classic mythical storytelling, being done in both cases. But it starts to subvert it a little bit into a more realistic portrayal of good and evil. That actually there is a lot of bleed over and a lot of grey area, and I like that. Firstly, one of the things that really impressed me with The Force Awakens was the Finn. The stormtrooper, because for so long stormtroopers have just been these automatons almost, and yet, you know, there are people underneath, but they're just soldiers and they just do what they do, and they don't seem to be people, and they're so often cannon fodder, as it were, laser fodder, if you like. It's nice to see them humanised. It's nice to see one of them humanised, because presumably there are people in there, and it's nice to see one actually. And it's nice to see that it's like that Peep Show, not Peep Show. It's not Peep Show, is it? It's Mitchell and Webb look, but it's like that sketch where they go, "Are we the baddies?" You get a stormtrooper realise, what the hell am I involved in here, and just have a complete change of heart, and seeing the tyranny of the Empire, well, the First Order, and revolt and turn away from it and run away from it. Obviously running away from it mainly because he's frightened, which it's understandable. He's been in the Empire. He knows how powerful and destructive they are. He's obviously, they've been controlling him for so long anyway. They're all powerful to him, and he's terrified of them, and it's understandable. But I really like the Finn character. That's a very interesting development in the Star Wars universe, and I welcome it. Rey, a lot of people go, she's a Mary Sue, but you know what? She does. Okay, it's a bit funny. She does struggle to pilot the Millennium Falcon at first, if you notice. At the very beginning when she does. The same with doing the Force thing of like, you will untrain me, unshackle me, whatever she said. She has to do it more than once before she picks it up. However, I suppose it is a bit strange that if she's not experienced, that she picks it up the second time she tries, you know, or very soon after. But she's not really a Mary Sue. She fails at first in both of those things. I watched The Force Awakens again recently, and yeah, she doesn't just pick it up like that. You know, she has to work at it. And I mean, it's sad that she is very powerfully Force sensitive, and this has been a thing in the Star Wars universe. Why are people picking on Rey, saying she's a Mary Sue? Anakin was powerful in the Force. Luke was powerful in the Force. This is part of Star Wars lore that some people are just Force sensitive. It's very strange that people pick on her in this way. And like I said, she doesn't pick things up straight away. It takes she does mess up the first time with both using the Force and piloting a ship. So anyway, people are just picking on her because she's a female character and a strong female character. I like the portrayal of Kylo Ren, and I like how we see that side of evil, that it's not always in control. That bit where he has a tantrum and just... I like that. There is... Evil often comes from pain. This is the reality of the real world. It does often come from pain. It can be closely linked to emotional instability, almost childish behaviour at times, and it's nice to see a villain portrayed in that way for a change. So, yeah, but I don't think it detracts from him or how dangerous he is at all. No. And it's great that he's the son of Han and Leia, and you get that family dynamic there. It's an interesting inversion of what we got in the original trilogy, where, you know, it's all about the redemption arc of the father. Now it's like the redemption arc of the son. It's quite interesting. The Last Jedi. Oh, I love The Last Jedi so much. Let me start with little picky things about female characters. People don't like how Poe is talked down to by, you know, the officer in charge there, the one with the pink purple hair, whatever. Who I think is quite sexy. Yeah, I know. But he is being reckless, and he is not listening to people, and he's being a bit of a jerk there, you know. And this is the way sometimes guys are like that when there are women in charge, and it's stupid and it sucks. But then some guys are just like that anyway, no matter who's in charge, I guess. There is a bit of an issue of they had a plan up their sleeve, but they weren't revealing it to him thing. So what do they expect him to do? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other about that. But the Rose, the one that is with Finn in Last Jedi. I don't know why people pick on her so much. Why do people pick on her so much? I don't understand it. I think that character's lovely. I also actually think, although she's not conventionally attractive, she is kind of cute and attractive. But what does that matter anyway? The character's fine. I don't understand why people were so hateful to her, and to drive her off of Instagram that way. What is wrong with people? You don't like a character or a portrayal in a film, so you have to bully the actress. Really? It's childish. Stop it. Anyway, The Last Jedi. The thing with regards to subverting the good-evil binary, as it were, to a more, perhaps, realistic, a more enlightened way of looking at things, perhaps. The Last Jedi is perfect, and it's wonderful in that way. I love the way Yoda is like, you know, this is just a bunch of old books. And, I love the connection between Kylo and Rey. I love the fact that they almost join forces against Snoke, but then we're really getting an ambivalence and a grey area here with both of them, and I love it. He turns against Snoke. He's still like, join me and stuff, but she starts to suspect it's going to be... I mean, people's lives are at stake, that's what it is. It's like, yeah, I get it. Forget the Jedi, forget the dark side, let's have peace. Not a bad idea. But in the end, it's like he's not caring about what's happening out there to the other people. He's like, forget them, come with me, sort of thing. And it's like, well, people's lives are at stake here. So, what else? Last Jedi, yes. I just love the Kylo and Rey thing. I love the talk between Yoda and Luke. I love the way Luke is just like, I don't want anything to do with it anymore. I fucked up and I've created Kylo Ren and like throwing the lightsaber thing again. All these things that annoy people. It's like, you just want it to stay black and white. You don't want to have this nuance or this reality to the thing. And I know people go, oh, science fiction's a fantasy, it's an escape or whatever, but it can be, but there was always depth in Star Wars. There was always spiritual depth in Star Wars. You want it to keep lying about the way things are. You don't want it to provide an actually enlightened perspective. like I said, the Force and Jedi it's very Buddhist, so it makes sense that it's taken this direction, and I like it. I like it a lot because I like my fantasy to be morally nuanced and interesting. That's why I like Game of Thrones and Doctor Who so much. So I always liked Star Wars because I always liked this. Because there was an element of that anyway. I mean, the whole Darth Vader, he wasn't just a villain that was a villain to the end. No, he got redeemed at the end of Return of the Jedi. There's always been this interplay in there, actually. It was just a lot more subtly done before. But no, I like that this Star Wars that I grew up with as a kid, that had that deeper spiritual resonance to it, is actually really growing with me into a more nuanced understanding of good and of right and wrong. And I love that about it, and I love The Last Jedi because of it. And Luke sacrifices himself at the end. That whole thing with Luke facing off the first one is amazing. And yeah, no, I really love this film, and I don't know why people hate on it so much. But anyway, that's all. This has been my video about Star Wars. Thanks for watching. We're all different, we're all special. Snowflakes unite.